Hi, everybody. This is at least my fourth attempt at recording this lesson, and if it doesn't work this time, I'm gonna scream. Technology is not my friend sometimes. Okay, so I'm Liz Bushy. This is my SEL lesson, Me as a Superhero. Let's get started. So, the lesson plan is that students will create a visual representation of themselves as a superhero. They will describe their own personal strengths as their superpowers and come up with ideas for how they can use their superpowers to help others. I feel like this is a customizable lesson plan for, depending on the age of your students. Younger kids, obviously, it's going to be a lot more simple. They'll have more fun with creating the image of the superhero. And then, they can focus on things like I am kind, I'm a good friend, things like that. Older students, like, if you have high schoolers, you could push this as far as, having them write a story, a backstory, giving their superhero, a foe or, something like that. Totally customizable depending on what you're working with. The objective here is that students will gain insight to their unique strengths and see themselves as valuable to their families and their classmates and society as a whole. The state standards I'm addressing here, I work in Wisconsin, and the Department of Public Instruction has state education standards, but also they have the SEL curriculum competencies, and those don't have the numeric codes like the state standards do. So the competency here is self-concept, which is, they want the kids to develop a positive self-identity and recognize self as a lifelong learner. Sorry, I'm in the Starbucks parking lot because it was really loud inside and people keep walking by my car. It's been a weird day. Okay, so here's my outline, my timing for this. This is, just in my brain how it would work. This could be, broken up over one day a week or, however you have time to fit it into your lesson planning. But I have it broken up into 4 45-minute segments over 4 days. Day one would be a 15-minute discussion where we brainstorm about what superheroes are, what is a superpower, why those superpowers are helpful to other people. And, we would talk about not only superheroes in the classic sense, like Superman or Batman, but I would want to talk to the kids about people in the community, real people who they think are helpful to others, police, doctors, firemen, firefighters. And then, I would give them a graphic organizer that they would use to organize their ideas, write down their thoughts on what their superpowers are and why those are helpful to others. Day two, we would have a 10-minute review where we would talk about the key concepts and do some question and answer, repeat the directions as far as what's expected of them. And then they would have the remainder of the time to finish up that graphic organizer and start their project, their poster. Day three, we would do a 5-minute review again, just talk about what's going on, make sure everybody's on the same page, answer any questions, and then they'd have the rest of the time to finish the project. And then on day four, I would want to do presentations where we have each child or each student share what they have done for their project and talk about their superpowers and how they can use them to help others. And then we would display those in the classroom or the hallway so everybody can see their superheroes. These are a few examples I found of kind of a brainstorming list of positive qualities kids could kind of use for their project if they wanted to, or just to get their mind on the right track. Excuse me, my allergies are terrible. Oh, sorry, you guys. Materials needed, I would hand out things like this where, they would have ideas to get them going, and then that graphic organizer. And I would also use things like a poster board or a large sheet of paper, markers, glitter, glue, fabric scraps, cotton balls, anything that you've got to, for the kids to make it special. Obviously, depending on the age, the older kids might not get into the artistic side of it quite as much. Maybe they would be more like, drawing more intricately than the smaller kids. And then for resources, the only thing I could think of was, that I would use visual representations. Like, we've got, it looks like a nurse or a doctor with a cape and a mask on there, to give them ideas as far as what it means to be a superhero, and to really brainstorm about what makes these people special and helpful. The activity, obviously, is creating the poster or the visual representation of themselves as a superhero, and listing their strengths and how those strengths can help others. I found this really great example on the left here. She is called Daring Girl, and she's got a lot of really great qualities listed, that kind of are interesting. Obviously it would be more like a middle school, high school for Daring Girl, but like it says, cunning intellect. She never agrees to any situation in which she is uncomfortable. And it says that she speaks her mind, and she is able to accomplish goals in a single bound. And then, on the right, those are obviously like for younger kids. Just make us, draw a superhero, give it a name, list the strengths, again, simple, but fun. For evaluation, I would definitely, base that off of the final project. Did they understand the assignment? Did they come up with positive qualities about themselves? And are they able to tell me, like, this is how my quality helps others and how it makes me valuable to, my mom or my friends or whatever. That's how I would evaluate whether or not they got what they were supposed to out of the lesson. And for continuation, I really like the idea of taking the superhero and giving that superhero a weakness or a foe. But instead of calling it that, we would call it something that they'd want to get better at, something they would like to improve or accomplish. And we could do that using the SMART goal setting system. That's another great concept that I've worked with before. And if you're not familiar, SMART is an acronym, and it's used to set a goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And it's basically just taking a generic goal and making it much more realizable by, instead of I want to do better in math, to make it more specific, you could say, well, I want to get an A on my next math test. And then, you go from there and figure out how to, do that using those SMART ideas. So we could talk about, your superhero your superhero really likes to read, and talk about how that quality might help them accomplish a goal. For my sources, I found these two great articles. I really think they're great for any educator if you're interested in reading them. The Positive Self-Concepts Predicts Youth Staying in School Longer in India. The author is talking about school in India, but the first half of the article is very general. It's not specific to India. If you read it, you'd understand, kind of what I'm talking about. I know that sounds kind of funny, but she talks about why self-concept is important and how it's multifaceted, and but she says that it's made up of subconstructs, including self-confidence, self-awareness, self-efficacy, and self-esteem, and why having, why those things being positive is so important to kids. And she says, and this is, there's research and there's statistics in there, and the research and statistics have shown that students with higher levels of a positive self-concept tend to choose more difficult academic tasks. They exhibit more energy on tasks, and they're more persistent. And there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot in that article. I really recommend reading it. It was very interesting to me. And the other one was, what is positive self-talk for kids and why is it important? And that article talks a lot about, that inner dialogue that we all have and why it's so important to teach kids at a young age to flip the script from negative to positive, instead of saying, we've all talked about this before, I'm sure, instead of saying, I can't do that, saying, I'm going to keep trying. Things like that. And she says that the inner dialogue is a central aspect of our mental health, and having positive self-talk is associated with higher mental functions, which includes reasoning, problem solving, planning, paying attention, and being motivated. So I thought both of those articles really kind of reinforced for me the idea that it's important to show kids why they are important, why they're, each one is unique as an individual, and we all have things to offer to our families, our peers, and society, and but why it's important to get them thinking that way, starting young. So that's my lesson. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing all of your lessons, and I hope everyone's doing great. Thanks very much for watching.